Good morning, everyone. This is Jaspal Godara, Faculty of History in 12th Humanities at SRN International School, Jagatpura, Jaipur. I welcome you all at SRN Knowledge Center. Today, we will be studying and understanding about the colonialism and the countryside. This is one of the chapter which is of prominent importance, where a student will learn about the colonial struggle, will learn about the revolts which were being undertaken by peasants, tribals against the colonial power British. My dear friends, today we will be understanding about our very own Bengal and how Britishers implemented the land revenue taxation system which promoted the peasants to come out and to have some classes with the officers being appointed by the British East India Company. So, as it is evident that in 1757, with the Battle of Plassey, Britishers established their political control over India in 1757. So, the first colonial rule which got established in India was in Bengal itself. With the rule begins, the British East India Company were facing a lot of challenges, which includes the revenue challenges, and in order to set up the entire revenue system, they brought a new land revenue system to be introduced in the rural areas of Bengal. So, in order to understand the entire circumstances which led to the introduction of the land revenue system, plus to understand its impact on the rural areas of Bengal and on the other northern part, we will be understanding about an auction which took place in one of the village called as Burdwan. So, my dear students, in 1797, there was an auction which took place in Burdwan. Over there, the Jamindar was one of the Raja. Raja was a term which was being used to call a Jamindar or to refer to the Jamindar, right? So this this auction took place in Burdwan, and under this system, what happened was in 1793, it was Lord Cornwallis who introduced this permanent settlement system. So according to this system, the Jamindars were being given the task to collect the revenue from the fixed number of villages, around 400 or something, and the British East India Company had fixed a particular revenue which was to be collected from the Jamindars. The Jamindars had the power to collect the same revenue from the villagers, and the surplus amount was being kept by the Jamindars itself. So the Jamindars, as in local words, were being termed as Raja. They were sometimes unable or failed to submit the same revenue to the Britishers on time. Now, because of this failure, the British East India Company forced the Jamindars to enter into an auction so that the Jamindari can be given to some another prominent big landlord. Hence, in the auction, the one who will be bidding the highest revenue for that particular Jamindari wala area, that person was being allotted with that Jamindar. So, when this auction commences at this particular place, the collector discovered that the entire auction is being fixed, and the Raja had appointed their own agents in order to bid at the auction, so that the Jamindari can remain within the circle of the Jamindar only. Now we will be discussing about the problem which led to this unpaid revenue. My dear friends, over 75% of the Jamindars, that means more than half of the Jamindars who were being allotted the revenue task to collect from the villagers, they failed to pay the same revenue to the British East India Company on time. The reason was that because of the failure of the cultivation in many of the villages, the villagers were unable to pay the same revenue to the Jamindars. Hence, Zamindars failed to submit the same to the British East India Company. And this problem was being vigilant or visible in most of the villages of Bengal in the second half of the 18th century. And because of this, the British East India Company, while introducing this permanent system, they hoped that it will fix the revenue problem of the company, but most of the zamindars failed to pay the revenue on time, and because of which such auctions were being organized, which later on the collector found that all the auctions were mostly fixed, as the zamindar used to appoint their own agents to bid for the same. Now we will be understanding about the problems which lied down in the fact that why zamindars failed to pay the revenue to the British East India Company. My dear students, the problem lied in identifying the individuals, the people who would understand agriculture, who would take steps to improve agriculture so that the cultivation can be improved, so that the production can be increased, and with that the zamindars would be able to collect the revenue from the villagers, and in turn the same shall be submitted on time to the British East India Company. Now, as I have told you, these zamindars were not the landowners of the villages, but they were merely revenue collectors of the state. And under one zamindar, there were around 400 villages which were being there. My dear friends, these zamindars used to collect these taxes from different villages, and then they used to pay the revenue to the company. As I have told you, sometimes if the collected revenue was more than the assigned one, then the difference would be kept by the zamindar itself. Now, precisely we will go through that why zamindars defaulted on payments. As I have told you, that this fixed revenue which was being set up by the company officials was in the hope that the company would improve their revenue system, but the zamindars were regularly failing to pay the revenue, and the unpaid revenue was increasing, was accumulating on the zamindars' part continuously. The reason was very simple, that the cultivation was not being improving, the production was not being improving, and because of that the revenue demand was continually getting accumulated, but the peasants, but the villagers were unable to pay the same to the British East India Company, right? Hence, we have seen that the British East India Company had made one law, and according to that sunset law, that if the payment was not being received on a specified date by the British East India Company, the zamindar was liable to be auctioned, and it would be given to the highest bidder in the auction. Hence, my dear students, we can see that this permanent settlement system initially limited the power of the zamindars as compared to the other land revenue systems of Rayatwadi and Mahalwadi system prevalent or visible in north and the southern India, right? My dear friends, we also I would also would like to draw your attention towards the fact that the company was controlling zamindar. The company wanted that the zamindar should be under their authority, and it wanted to restrict their autonomy. And because of the very fact, most of the zamindars defaulted on their payments. Most of the zamindar lost their power to organize the local justice at the grassroots level. And over the period of time, these zamindars who became the rent collectors became a perennial problem, because the revenue was not coming properly on time, and hence the rent got delayed over the parts of the zamindars to the British East India Company. My dear friends, we have seen that the village admin, the rich peasants, they were very happy to see these zamindars in trouble, because they wanted that zamindar should not assert their power on the villagers and on the rich peasants. Hence, when the zamindars were being prosecuted because of the defaulted payments, the rich peasants, the rich landlords of the villagers seems to be very happy and pleasant. My dear students, in the very next class, we will be able to see about the pertaining situations further on and how the situation got improved in Rayatwadi and other mechanisms. Thank you so much, everyone. I would also request you that if you have loved our video, please subscribe to the SRN Knowledge Center YouTube channel. Thank you so much.